Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of PoCommunity, and I'm here with music producer Vik The Villin.
What's up?
How's it going, man?
Pretty good. How are you, man?
Very good. Tell me a little bit about yourself, your background story. How the hell did you get into music production?
Well, I started off as a kid. I was really into guitar, basically. I started really early off. I think I was probably about 10 years old, and I ran with it for probably about 4 or 5 years. And then I kind of found limitations in just playing guitar. I wanted to explore different instruments, so I got into the more producing side of things. At the time I was into electronic dance music, and I found it really cool because it dove into the elements of all kinds of different instruments, and hypothetically, what if I could play all these different instruments on one thing, right? And so I used my basis of guitar to kind of tackle that, and more so I kind of got more into it, and I found a really big passion into it, and everything kind of lined up, and I met like-minded people that really kind of clicked and made me inspired to push myself forward and also my friends forward in the community, and that's kind of what motivated me to get into music, I would say.
Cool. How long have you been making music for other people? When did it turn into actually monetizing, or turning into a job to you, instead of just making beats in your basement type thing and just loving it yourself, right?
I think so I went to Nimbus, which was a college in Vancouver on Main Street, basically, and before that time I was doing it more on a hobby basis, still pretty consistently, but I didn't have the quote unquote business mindset of hey, I can actually make money off this. For me, it was more just I wanted to make a really cool song that resonated with me. And yeah, basically, at one point I figured out, the world is running off money. Yeah. And, I can actually make money off of what I'm doing. There's just certain ways that you have to kind of dive into it. And I found the most approachable way for myself was hip-hop, because I loved the genre. I listened to it religiously to the point where I know the elements, the ins and outs, and I can cater, whether it's a producing side or an engineering side, to whoever is in front of me, basically. And that in essence was the service that I provided. Cool. So that's kind of what made me transition, is basically the fact that at one point I wasn't making money. I wanted to start making money, and then that's how I kind of did it.
Cool. Nimbus is a great school. Nimbus has some of the biggest names in the history of Vancouver music in that place. So yeah, Nimbus is amazing. I know for hip hop music, a lot of people, producers, they will name the obvious albums as their inspiration, obviously Chronic 2001.
Yeah.
So many producers I know say that is what inspired them to be a producer. Is there any certain hip hop sound that made you want to do it?
Yeah. I'm actually I'm really inspired by I am a hip hop producer, but I very much blend my sound with a R&B sound, because I think the Canadian sound has kind of evolved into a crossover between rap and R&B. And the second I heard the guys in the OVO kind of crew, like Drake, Party Next Door, Roy Woods, all those, The Weeknd, Nav, was when I really started to define the sound that I wanted. And it kind of resonated with the Canadian sound as well, which I found was really cool, because I'd find everyone around here listen to that music as well. And it really made me want to dive into it, learn it a little bit more, and get a more melodic sense into my genre. So I would say my main albums that really kind of inspired my train of thoughts nowadays are every single Party Next Door album. Yeah. I think his albums are just, they're not focused on melody per se, they're more focused on atmospheric vibes, but with a solid rhythmic basis that keeps you intrigued per se. And yeah, that's what I would say.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, it's actually crazy. I never really thought about that, because I've listened to Canadian hip hop pretty much my entire life. People that nobody's heard of even in Canada. It took a while for Canadians to get that international play. I mean, we've had a few hits here and there, like, I don't know, you know, Cardinal Official back in the day and stuff. And then Drake took it to a level where he became the most popular rapper in the world, not just Canada. And when you look at how hip hop is what it's kind of branched off into since Drake hit it so big is that Canadian sound is actually so prevalent in just hip hop alone now worldwide. Which is awesome because, like I said, Canadian artists really didn't get that international promotion. Ever.
100%. I agree with that.
Like when you're like doing these productions and stuff, making music, do you have a program you like to use the most?
Yeah, I use Ableton.
Ableton's amazing.
I've dove into like all different types of programs. I can use them all to a degree, but Ableton just seemed to be the one that like was super natural. Even in Nimbus, when I was going there, I would be like using Pro Tools basically, and it was cool. It was great for studio vibes and recording because you'd have to use it. And I know my way around pretty proficiently, but in terms of getting an idea out, like, because I'm a firm believer that like if you spend too much time on an idea, sometimes you might lose the idea in the process. And I find like working fast is the best way. And with Ableton, you can kind of just spring up an idea within 10 minutes and it's already kind of semi-comprehensible to what the final mix might sound like. Obviously, that takes a little bit of experience and knowledge of the program itself, but I would say Ableton is my go-to, but sometimes I dabble in Pro Tools when needed.
Cool, yeah, I was definitely, when I went to school too, I used, basically the course guidelines were like Ableton, Cubase, Reason. Those three kind of were the main three.
Yeah.
Ableton I found to be simple but could do the most.
Exactly.
I absolutely loved it. So I don't know what it's like now. I haven't been doing like much production in the last 10 years. So it's like, I don't know how it is now, but I could imagine it's amazing.
I think it's great because they just keep adding more like subtle features. They're not like, they're just like, I don't know what it is that they do so well exactly, but something about their effects just work very well with my mixes. I can rely on their instruments, their plugins. I obviously use external plugins as well, but like a vast majority of my plugins could just very well be stock plugins. And that's what I find amazing is like, people are sometimes intimidated by the I guess the layout of it per se, but I think it's really easy
and it's live capabilities too.
Yeah,
it's I think it's an amazing program. I can't say enough good stuff about Ableton, to be honest.
Honestly,
I know once they tried, like obviously when I was in school they taught us how to use each one separately, learned how to like use them as plugins together. And it was just always coming back by the end of the course, pretty much that's the only program I was really running. There's Reason with it sometimes, but I
found Reason to be a very hard one, to be honest. I was actually my first DAW because that was just the first one I managed to get a hold on, but it just didn't click. Wasn't the right match.
And I think that's why there is so many options, is because some people love Fruity Loops back in the day. People love certain things and are comfortable with just like any kind of media, editing, media, anything. It's people love their Photoshop. People don't like their Photoshop. There's so many different choices out there, but that's great because everybody thinks differently, does things differently.
Exactly. It's almost very refreshing because I have friends that use all different types of plugins. Logic, FL. And it's always interesting collaborating with those people because they have different approaches on things. Like I find every DAW or workstation that you use has a different like kind of tricks and little neat things that you can do. So it's always good to bounce back with the other people that use the different programs because you could create something totally unique that way, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So you're a Poco kid. Which is awesome. This area has a lot of unnoticed talent. I'd like to say that, or they are doing well, and people just don't know that they're doing. Like other people in the area don't know they're doing well. I find Vancouver's really weird with local music.
Yeah, I think so.
I know I have some people that are pretty like prevalent in the game, like that are big, like good names in hip hop, and they can go tour around Canada, the States, Europe, sell out shows as soon as they come to Vancouver. Even though they're Vancouver artists, they're not selling out shows. I don't know if it's not supporting local or if it's just like when you are normalized to something and it's like, oh, they'll be here next year anyways. They're not going to it, but it's really nice, like, to know that like with today's times with promotion and stuff, the amount of artists that are out there that know how to promote themselves are bigger than ever.
Yeah.
Any local artists that you just like love working with?
Yeah, there's a couple local artists that he's one of my best friends. My homeboy 47. We have an album coming out probably next month. We haven't set the exact date on it, but album's all done. There's a lot of people looking forward to it. My other homie D-Walk, he's been doing some numbers around here, doing very well. He's a young kid. He's just on his grind constantly, and we have like a lot of songs. We're always working together. I have my crew that I roll with, Snow Team. It's a group of 10 of us. We're always bouncing back, supporting each other, recording each other, pushing each other's releases. So yeah, those would be the three kind of people. Other than my producer homies as well. Yeah. I have a lot of producers around the area that I constantly am working with. That's as awesome. Well. So but in terms of the artists, those would be the three artists that I love working with them. You know?
That's wicked. Any other projects that you're like working on right now that you really want to promote?
Yeah. So like I said earlier, I have two big artists that I'm working with, one of which is Isaac Zale and the other one is Gio Varn. Isaac Zale is from Vancouver. He's got a couple million plays on Spotify, Apple Music, all that kind of stuff. Same with Gio Varn, but he's from the UK basically. Isaac is more of a kind of hip-hop kind of rap, kind of that fast rap kind of guy, and then Giovanni is like a R&B dance hall kind of artist. So a lot of different variety and kind of what I'm focusing on in the next little bit. No particular release dates that I can announce currently, but it's in the works. Bunch of songs are in the works, and those are my big kind of things to look forward to in late 2020, 2021.
Yeah, who knows with everything right now.
Yeah, it's become a world where things are unpredictable. Like for example, a studio could close down, then an engineer could be somewhere, COVID, some people just don't want to meet up, period. So it's kind of unpredictable, but it's on its way. Yeah. And that's kind of, what I would like to push for my releases.
It's lucky you're in the right side of the business when it comes with the music business right now during the COVID, because as a producer, everybody always needs their beats. People are actually recording quite frequently now because they can't tour. They can't do this, so they're actually recording more than they ever had.
Yeah, exactly.
So like with like guys like you, I bet you've probably taken advantage of the fact that you can actually during a hard ass time that we're living in right now, the world is living in, that you can actually kind of I wouldn't like to use the word benefit, but like it's affected different industries in just different ways. Yeah. So that the do-it-yourself producer mentality that most producers have, they can make their stuff at home.
I think so, yeah. I mean, I can't deny what you just said. Yeah. I've been pushing my YouTube channel ever since COVID happened because, I have a business-like mindset with supply and demand, right? If people are sitting at home, artists particularly or rappers, they're going to be recording, they're going to want beats, so why not put out my beats at a time when it's most wanted? I think that's just like good business mindset, right? But I have been kind of just pushing it and trying to really get my name out there. I started my YouTube channel maybe about 2 months ago. I've gotten some decent sales from it, and I'm continuing to push it. I'm uploading new beats basically every second, third day, cool. 2-3 day kind of basis. I have like about 100 lined up, actually, like 100 videos just lined up for the year. So it's just
nice, just placement and go.
Basically, just unloading ammo, and that's
wicked, man.
Yeah, man.
I think like I had this conversation with Saucy Boy and Cora, kind of how like musicians have always kind of known how to market themselves like even going back at the time that didn't have the options like social media now to promote the hell out of themselves. But right now with entrepreneurs in general, it seems like it's either sink or swim. Some are like taking this time and going like as hard as they could ever go to succeed during a really crappy time, and then other people are like handcuffing themselves. There's not really an in-between floater, like there's not just somebody gliding along. It's one of the above. And so musicians, I find, have always been that like they adapt. Musician, the word musician is so vast, like what a musician is. A producer is like, in my opinion, the musician, especially in hip hop industries. They are the musician. So like, I think musicians have always had that do it yourself mentality, and that like, if we can't make money here, let's go here. Like that Saucy Boy, he has like clothing line, blah blah. It's basically you have so many avenues and so many side hustles that no matter what life delivers to you, you can still succeed, right?
I mean, I genuinely think that like it's good to have that mentality as well, because like unfortunately, like I find like in the music industry nowadays, everyone is looking for the next whole package deal. Like you got to be like, you can't just be just an artist or just this. Like I find the people that really succeed are quite honestly jack of all trades. In some regards, not all trades, but you know, a set amount of skills. And you know, with Saucy Boy, he's been grinding like that. He has his art, I know, he has his music, and it's like I think people like that really inspire me to do that myself as well, because like having different revenues is just number one, it's refreshing. Number two, it's more chance of, you know, money. Who doesn't want money? But
and as much as you might love something, like you love production. There's sometimes like no matter who you are, that like one day your brain's just in a funk and it's not feeling it that day. To have that side hustle you can put your like energy into that you might not even know you like that much until you start doing it and realize you might monetize, maybe not even monetize, just like help promote your brand.
Of course.
Because people start looking at themselves more as a brand and not as just I'm this. It's changed drastically, especially like I think hip hop artists are so good at it. They've always been so good at like they use their stardom to branch off into so many other kinds of areas of stardom. And why wouldn't you do that?
Well, I think definitely the mindset like unfortunately with a lot of artists, if they don't have that mindset, they could be, like you said, handcuffing themselves is because they have the talent, but they're not really willing to explore different options, different approaches. And I feel like the second you start treating yourself more like a brand or a business is the moment where people treat you like a professional. You know, because if you just say like, oh, I make beats for why, I don't know, but just cause you know, it's like that's not convincing to me in my opinion. For someone else, I don't know, but for me, I think like the moment I said to myself like, okay, I'm gonna make this into a business, like I'm not gonna hobby this anymore. It's strictly like I'm gonna work at this for it to be my potential, you know, lifetime career. And man, I think it definitely, that mindset definitely helps.
That's awesome to hear, man. All right, do you have any social media accounts? Anything you want to promote? I can pop up on the screen.
I have my YouTube. It's just youtube.com/Vik The Villin. My Instagram. Honestly, I just use YouTube, Instagram, and my Beatstars. Might hop on TikTok these days.
Yeah, it's so hot.
You know, it's kind of popping off. I can't deny it. So I might hop on it, but. Yeah, those would be the three plaplaces to reach me, basically.
Cool. I'll pop it up on the screen for everybody. Sure. But yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm glad you came in.
Yeah, man.
I love talking to music-minded people, and especially producers, because like, that's the unsung hero, especially the hip hop industry. That's I'm passionate about hip hop, and I listened to some of your stuff. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Thank you very much, man.
But yeah, thank you. Thanks for joining us for another episode of PoCommunity. He's Vik The Villin. I'm Mike Arboit. Have a good one.
Peace out.